Alright guys, what's up? Hotfix 44 just dropped, and a couple things I wanted to go over in the patch. One really big change, and other than that, most of the changes are relatively small, just kind of QOL, cleaning up multi-classing type things. But let's just go over it really quick. Most of these issues don't really matter, as always, who really cares? Just some random bugs that gets fixed. They fixed the issue where Ghost King doesn't like a picnic blanket anymore, so that's cool. The curve of spellcasting speed has been adjusted, and the curve for regular interaction speed has been adjusted. We don't know if this is a positive or a negative. I haven't played the game yet to find out. I haven't asked anyone, so I don't know if this increases does it increase the amount of spellcasting speed you have or decrease it. If I had to guess, maybe they increased at low levels, decreased at high levels because that's what it should be. But anyways, fighters victory strike are now limited to all melee and ranged physical attacks and bladed thrown items. Say this a few times. Basically, what this means is you just can't do it with like magic or anything. It has to be like some sort of physical damage. So now limited to all melee and ranged physical attacks and bladed thrown items. So it doesn't apply on the drum anymore, I suppose, because it specifies specifically. See, this is weird. It specifies bladed thrown items, but like is a drum not a ranged physical attack? I guess not because it's melee damage, right? I think. Nah, whatever. Or no, it's weapon damage. So I don't know. Maybe this won't apply on drums. Maybe it will. Don't really care. Barbarian's Reckless Attack not only works with melee physical attacks. Very, very good change. This was absolutely necessary. This is pretty much a fix to one of the most OP builds in the game, which was the Reckless Attack Ambush Ranger, which we'll also see in a minute about ambush and weak point getting changed. So really, really good change here. Barbarian's Achilles Strike are now limited to all melee and ranged physical attacks and blade and thrown items, same as Victory Strike. Rogue's Ambush weak point attack now only works on melee physical attacks. Once again, ambush very very good. So you had all these rogues and rangers running around with windless crossbow ambush, and they would like if they hit you, they would do like 90% of your health, or they would just kill you outright. Very very strong. Very very cancer. Won't even deny it. So rogues, poison weapons, rupture, cutthroat are now limited to all melee and ranged physical attacks and bladed thrown items. If you don't know, poison weapon could be applied on like any hit. It was like any spell if you held an orb, like a crystal ball, and the rest of these, like I said, I don't know if this is specifically excluding something. Maybe it does. I'm not entirely sure, but is what it is. Cleric's faithfulness now slows targets hit by divine attacks. So, not gonna lie, don't really know why we're doing this. So faithfulness, if you don't know, increase gives you 15% more magic power bonus towards holy damage like spells. Judgment, Holy Strike, Earthquake, I think, and I don't know if it scales with Smite. I imagine it would. In which case, if now Smite has a slow attached to it, it would stack with whatever they've given before. Like, so, if you get judged, you get hit by the judgment slow, and now you're hit by the faithfulness slow, assuming they're separate instances of slows, which I imagine they will be. But I'm really, really not sure why this is what we do. I mean, yeah, people like, you can make the argument, yeah, like, buff things that don't get used. Faithfulness, up until the multi-classing patch, Faithfulness was used like on every single cleric for the most part. Because if you were running Holy Strike, it was very, very good. Just free 15% magic power bonus. However, now that we have multi-classing, this has kind of fallen by the wayside because they're just better perks. And there are probably still better perks, but this is going to be one of those things that whenever multi-classing gets removed and clerics go back to using Faithfulness, it's not going to get nerfed and it's just going to be broken still. But yeah, overall, I mean, this is just like typical Iron Mace buffing cleric in a way that it doesn't need to be buffed. You could be like, oh, it's buffing everybody. It's multi-classing. Yeah, but it's specifically a cleric buff, right? It's a cleric perk, and they just love to excuse me. They love to buff cleric when cleric doesn't need to be buffed. Because, like I said, now it's just if you like, if you take this, then it has to be really, really good, right? Because if you're taking like a class innate perk, then you're taking it over something else, like anti magic or something really, really strong, or like dark reflection, ice shield, reactive shield, any of those potential things that you would run. And I don't know. I don't like the buff here. I don't think it's necessary. Whatever. Cleric Smite can now be used only in melee physical attacks and has an attribute bonus ratio of 50%. If you don't have an attribute bonus ratio of 50% means it scales at a 50% level. So if you have 10 additional damage, 50% of that would be converted to your smite, so you would get 5 additional damage on your smite. And I assume this works for magic power bonus, like Ad Fizz, True Fizz, all that shit. Warlock's Blow of Corruption now only works on melee physical attacks. I don't think this matters as much. I don't really think many people were running ranged Blow of Corruption. Maybe they were with like Hand Crossbow Rogue or something. Not really sure, but didn't really see it that much, but is what it is. Cool. Adjusted difficulty in obtaining learning tokens. So now, if you don't know, you obtain the 13th learning token at level 70. I'll go over that a bit more at the bottom because they mention it. Mind Wipe now resets daily. Very, very good change. I still don't like the system of multiclassing. I think there's a really, really big issue with it, and that is the fact that it's complete random at the things you can get. I rolled mine earlier, for example, and I spent half my learning tokens trying to roll anti-magic from Warlock. Because, let's say, okay, let's say you're not a spellcaster, right? Because if you're a spellcaster rolling on other spellcasters, it is significantly harder. But let's say you're not a spellcaster and you want to roll on like fighter, right? If you want just second wind, that is a 1 in 6 chance of getting what you want. So if you're, like let's say you pull it at odds and you're not lucky, you are going to spend almost half your tokens to pull a single perk or skill off of a class. You literally have to be lucky to pull every, like if you want 6 different things, you literally have to be lucky, right? And it's ridiculous. It's so stupid. And then if you're a spellcaster or you have like, you're a character that has access to spell memory, then it makes it even harder because then you have the ability to pull all the spells as well. If you don't know how it works, is if you don't have spell memory, then you can't pull spells. But if you have spell memory, like you're a warlock pulling on like a cleric, you could pull all the cleric spells, which adds another, like 10, 11, 12 different things that could potentially be rolled. So it just makes it even worse. And then, as an experiment, party members' names will no longer be displayed in High Roller. Um, yeah. So I'm sure that most of you are just going to look at this at face value and realize that this is complete and utter dog shit, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's not because I think so too. I don't know what the experiment is. I don't know like why this needs to be tested. I mean, I can look at it and see that it's going to be horrible. Like people are like, oh, but in Tarkov, yeah, in Tarkov you don't have your teammates' names. However, in Tarkov you also don't have like, close range multiple characters in melee fights. For the most part, like your positioning is all relatively consistent and you know where your teammates are most of the time, right? Also, you could say like, is this like you see a guy? I'm like, yo, is this you or where are you at? And they can tell you. Whereas if I'm in a fight with someone that looks just like me, I can't really tell my cleric who I am, right? I can't really tell him which person I am. And people are like, oh, like this portrait at the bottom left, you can see what your character looks like. Most of the characters in this game all wear very similar armor. Like, think barbarians. Barbarians look the exact same 99% of the time. Almost all the time, a barbarian will look identical to one standing beside him, just because that's the best armor you can wear, and that's the armor they should be wearing, especially if you're geared. Then you have things of let's say you see like a similarly like geared like guy to your teammate running at you. You now have to make the choice: do I hit my teammate or do I hit so he could potentially be my teammate, or do I ask, right? Because even if like say like, oh, you just ask like, yo, is this you? Like that is time it takes for you to say that, them to hear it, them to reply, that they could cover the distance on you. Like imagine a rogue doing that, right? Very, very easy to get in range to the point where you are just completely and utterly chalked. Like I said, I don't understand this change at all. I don't think it should happen in this game. I think it's going to be horrible, and I'm not looking forward to it. Um, yeah, I don't really know what else to say about that, but it's just a dumbass decision. Uh, moving on. We thank you for your patience as we continue this adventure with multi-classing experiment. We are collecting great data and are speedrunning the discovery of perks and skills that are functioning outside our scope that need to be fixed. Clearly not. The only the only thing they changed is things that were never like an issue, right? Like reckless being melee only, that was never an issue. Um, what like ambush weak point being melee only? I mean, with hand crossbow like years ago or like months ago was an issue, but that's like whatever, you know. Buffing smite, this isn't a multi-classing issue. Blow of corruption, this is not. This is a multi-classing issue. Like these are not. These are only performing outside the scope of multi-classing, which everything's going to perform outside the scope because that's how it works. Because certain characters and certain classes are going to make use of things better than that class innately will. If you just get to the point where you nerf everything, so pretty much the only thing that can use it is that same is their class by default, then it's like what the fuck, what's the point? We're trying to find a good balance of incentivizing enough play to make the system feel like you're being rewarded for progress without making it feel like an excessive grind. We have decided to make it much easier to accrue learning tokens. You will now be able to collect the maximum 13 learning tokens for your character by reaching level 70 instead of 270. Our internal data shows that the average player can reach this maximum learning token level in approximately 2 weeks, playing around 2 hours a day. I don't even know how true this is, but maybe. Cool. To assist us in testing more combinations, we have also updated the mind wipe feature so it resets daily. We plan to continue fixing newly discovered broken combinations and improve the balance of perks and skills as we collect this data. Uh, okay. What about all the casters running fucking Hydra, huh? What about that? What about the meta being completely unplayable because every caster runs Hydra and every frontliner is forced to run Iron Will anti magic and just have like 70% MR and like fuck it 75% PDR on top of that. Like who knows? Please know that we hear your concerns about loss of class identity with the current implementation of the multi-class system. With the lessons we are learning from this system, we are working on building a more fleshed out but limited multi-class system for a future season that we believe will address the issue. We will reveal more details in the future. So this is exactly kind of what I thought. Like I don't know if you guys remember when this shit came out. They said, if people don't like it, we'll remove it, right? Now, in my mind, and I don't know about you guys. I mean, maybe you've heard differently than me, but most people don't seem to like multiclassing. Like a significant portion don't seem to like it. However, this right here is pretty much just saying is like, hey, we see that you guys aren't like a big fan of it, and we see your complaints. However, we like the system, so we're gonna continue to try to test it, and we're gonna like test another variation of it that's probably closer to something you guys would like. Which the second part is fine, right? Like testing something similar to what we would like is fine. However, you shouldn't make your players not enjoy the game for months at a time to potentially make it decent later because you want to collect data. I don't like that model. I think that's really bad because it's like I'm sitting here like, oh, well, I understand like, well, the game sucks right now, but it's okay because they're collecting data to make it good a month and a half from now. Or to try to make it good a month and a half from now. It's like, no, I don't want to have to deal with this. Like it's just not fun. I like right now the multi-classing system just is not fun. One, the way you have to roll your perks and skills is very, very stupid. Being completely RNG reliant to get things. And like I said, if you want to roll 4 perks and 2 skills to have completely new things, you would literally need 3 times the tokens you have right now almost. Like at a 1 in 6 chance, you want 6 things. That is, in theory, 36 tokens you would need if you pull on odds every single time, right? 612. No, no. Yes, 30. No, yes, 36. I'm doing the math in my head. Like if you pull on odds of the 6th try for something you want, then I mean, well, technically it's not exactly 1 in 36 because there's no like replacement, but yeah, you guys get what I mean. Basically, 13 tokens is not enough to get everything you want every time. And the downside is, one, this makes it so once you do pull all the things you want, you don't want to re-roll because, like, let's say I pull perfect perks and skills. I'm never going to re-roll, even if I want to try a new build, because then if I want to play seriously again, I have to try to roll these things again. Because that's where the meta has gotten to, where you have to have certain perks and skills. Iron Will, or no, Iron Will, Anti Magic, pretty much every character in the game is running at least one of those. And it's absolutely necessary because of the stats that it gives you. Anti Magic gives you 25% MR, Iron Will gives you about 20%. That is more than you're going to get on a single piece of gear anywhere across the board. It is just free stats that gives you so much room in your build to change things. So you have to run one of those. Robust, something else that's being ran on almost every single character. Just because, once again, it gives you like 15, 20 HP. You cannot compete with that. That is giving you like another bis items worth of HP and then some, right? Like on my fighter right now, Robust would give me like 20 health. I can't match that anywhere. And then the problem is, it's like, yeah, okay, you could nerf these, but if you nerf them, something else broken is just going to take the spot. So if you want to get into if you want to make a multi-classing relatively quote unquote balanced, you have to nerf everything just continuously. And that's just not fun. Nobody wants them to do that. Nobody wants them to sit there and have to nerf every single perk and skill. And then the problem with loss of class identity is as long as other perks are stronger, like as long as Iron Will and Robust or Iron Will Anti-Magic Robust exist in the game, people are gonna build them. And the only way to make that not to make it like to keep class identity is make it so people don't want to build outside of their class perks and skills. And when that happens, why should multi-class exist? It's like what's the point? If they want to limit it, like let's say because they're working on we're working on a limited multi-class system, says oh you can only take 1 perk or 1 skill. Like okay, then once again, like this is just stupid. Like what's the point of having this system? I get one thing. Okay, well I'm just gonna take Iron Will or Anti Magic every single time, right? Like that doesn't necessarily keep class identity. Well, I mean maybe it does, but the bigger problem is now you have a system that's basically fucking useless, right? It's like, oh, we leveled up. Now we take our 1 perk and or skill from multiclassing. Oh, look at me, I'm multiclassing. No, no, you're not. It's just dumb. That's why I just don't like multiclassing as a system. I don't think it's good. I think it just needs to be removed. Remove multiclassing, chalk this shit, work on subclasses, work on an actual talent tree. Work on things that people enjoy to play. Don't work on some RNG, maybe pull the perk I want bullshit to play the game. That's just fucking stupid. It needs to go. But anyways, we've also worked on improving some of the formulas for knowledge and regular interaction speed to make it less frustrating for starting characters and starting classes. Okay, yeah, I was half right about that. They increased at the lower end. High roller parties would now need to be more organized and careful in who they target in the dungeons. This right here pisses me off. As an experiment to make the high roller experience truly high risk, we are testing a system where party members' names are no longer displayed to allies. Thank you and see you in the dungeons. Tell me right now, for anyone that plays HR trios, or doesn't play HR trios, is the reason you don't, or not trios, just in general HR, is the reason you don't play HR because it's not truly high risk? Like, no, that's not the reason anyone doesn't play HR. They don't play HR because it's not fucking worth it to play HR, right? They don't need another level of difficulty added into HR to prevent normals players from going to play it, right? You should want your player base to be moving into HR. You should not be trying to take them away. This is the same as back when HR had a different map pool than norms. It was just another like learning curve and another difficulty factor that a new player had to consider when moving into HR. And it's fucking stupid. It's like, no, man, you don't need it to be truly high risk, especially when they've constantly done things to remove the high risk factor of like, lowering gear disparity, gear based matchmaking. All of this stuff is to make it easier for players to get into HR. However, then you do this. And she's like, what the fuck? Like I gotta just ask, like, what the fuck, man? She's like, what the fuck? I don't know. This just feels like one of those changes to me that makes them seem very out of touch with their game. And it seems like, well, why aren't people playing HR? Oh, maybe it's just not risky enough. Like, no. It's just there isn't enough value in HR versus normals. The problem is, truthfully, is HR's too risky. It's not worth it for most people to ever go HR because either they're not going to extract reliably or, they're not going to be able to loot enough because they're worried about people 24/7. What they don't need is another risk factor of not being able to see your teammates' names, right? And they've even said, like SDF said in general chat, oh, high roller is not for new players. Okay, like, what's your definition of a new player? Like somebody leveling, they're like, going to level 20 for the first time? Because there are people in norms that are level 100 that have never gone HR and that don't go HR because they're scared of it because it's too much of a challenge for them. You have to deal with the players and everything. And now you have to deal with this other difficulty factor of not having a name. Imagine, like, I think this is probably the best example of how multi-class is going to be bad. Imagine you're playing cleric and there's a four-way melee. It's bard, bard, fighter, fighter, barb, barb, like whatever. But it's like bard, fighter, barb, four of them all in a melee. And you can't see any names. The color scheme in this game, for the most part, is very consistently like dark and bleeded. However, you know, like if two people are wearing like if two barbarians are wearing the exact same armor set, the only difference is the weapon they're using. You have to now sit there and charge your heal and look towards the fucking weapon your guy's using to identify who he is and throw a heal. Like wizards wanting to throw spells are gonna have to try to jump above people they can't even see and weave spells, right? Like all of this random shit that you now have to consider that doesn't work in a like a fast-paced melee fight game like this. It's fucking it's so dumb. Why are they testing this, man? I don't get it. Also, guess what, guys? I don't know if you've noticed this. This is the end of the patch notes. Where's Druid? You know? Where's it at? Because they said we would be getting Druid by. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can search this. Where is it at? Druid. Wait, Druid. Wait, can I search in this channel? Hold on. In channel announcements. Druid. Nope, that's spelled that wrong. Druid. Oh, it doesn't. Okay, for some reason it doesn't pull up. Whatever. But like, I don't know if you guys remember, they said we'd be getting Druid. Like, oh, what was it in here? I'm trying to find. Uh, it's somewhere up here. I don't care about this. The fuck is Druid at? Didn't they put in here? Didn't they mention some about Druid in here somewhere? Uh, wait, when was this? I think it's like the beginning of this month, right? Also, we still have the creep mechanic in the game, by the way. That's cool. That's fun. But I don't know. Honestly, I don't remember where they said it. All I know is that they said we would have Druid by the end of this month, and they have 5 days left to give us Druid. And I know for a fact there will not be a patch in 5 days. And also, they're not just gonna like hot fix it in or like quick patch it in. Shit just ain't happening. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Like they are continuing to do shit like this right here instead of giving us the stuff that they've been saying they're gonna give us. Like, hey, you want Druid? Yeah. Okay. Well, you can't see your party members' names in High Alert anymore. Like, huh? The fuck? It has taken us. We are now what? We're because wait, when did this wipe come out? I think this wipe came out. So we're almost 2 months into the wipe now. I think, give or take, a month it's like a month and a half. Actually, I'm pretty sure somewhere a month and a half into the wipe. We have just now got access to we can the average player can finally use multiclassing. You can now mind wipe and reset on daily when you don't pull your perks. We still don't have Druid, but hey, coming soon. Um, I don't know. I feel like right now we're in a spot that we should have been in a month and a half ago when this fucking wipe came out, where we have multiclassing and stuff, but instead we don't, and the game just feels like shit. But that's cool. Anyways, it's gonna wrap it up there for me. I don't know. I mean, it's a patch. I guess I don't really care about it. I Most of the changes in the patch are very small. I mean, some of them are good. Like I said, like them removing reckless attack from range damage. This is probably the best. Like this rate, reckless attack and ambush from like only working on range damage is definitely good. Probably the best changes they could have made. It does get rid of the really OP ranger build. I won't deny it. However, the rest of the patch is like very like whatever. I don't. I mean, we buffed cleric plus smite. Don't know why. Mind wipe is good, and then this shit doesn't even need to be mentioned. Anyways, that's gonna wrap it up here for me. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, feel free to leave your opinions down below. Uh, and yeah, I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.